I don't think it's a win for them at all. I don't think they see anything about Brexit as a win. I think what they'd be worried about is Theresa May's stability, how long she can stay in office, because they do need someone to be leading the United Kingdom in defining its position on Europe. May seemed to be getting there last week. As you said, they're working up against a ticking clock. There is a deadline for the end of these negotiations, and they're getting frightfully worried that the UK is not going to be in a position where a deal can be done. And obviously, this only makes matters worse for them. So I don't think they'd be welcoming this at all. Your correspondent said that they probably need to offer her something. I think what they can probably offer is a little bit of time to sort of stabilise herself, to sort things out. But as far as they're concerned, they need clarity from the British government on what its position is going to be. And the danger with departures yesterday is that's going to create more uncertainty than we've had.
David, do you think Theresa May will survive in her position?
I think for the moment, probably yes. It does depend on what happens in the coming days, whether you have any more Tory backbench ministers leaving the government, particularly the likes of Michael Gove. The concern is that if party ministers think that there's a possibility of a leadership contest coming up, then those interested in taking on the leadership will want to make sure their hat's in the ring, and that would require them to resign from the cabinet. We don't know. I think one thing we do have to recall is that in some respects, Boris Johnson, David Davis leaving is not totally surprising. We knew they were really in an awkward position for themselves in the cabinet. They were finding it difficult to agree with what Theresa May was going, and to all intents and purposes, they've not been seen to be the most credible ministers over the last number of months or so, if not longer. So I think there won't be that much surprise that they've gone.
Well, David, it was interesting in the letter that Boris Johnson did offer with his resignation here. In the very opening of that letter, he refers to those who did vote for Brexit and talked about an unambiguous promise that if they did vote, that they would be taking back control of the democracy. Do you think that's a fair claim? Do you think voters did feel that it was an unambiguous promise? Or do you think the alternative being offered up from the hard Brexiteers, if you will, is still a bit foggy?
I think it's certainly unclear exactly what the Brexiteers want from the UK leaving. If we go back to the referendum, there was a lot of very bold claims being made by individuals, including take back control. For some, that was about the sovereignty of Parliament, taking back control over laws. For others, it was about taking control of borders and restricting immigration. One of the big problems we had with the referendum was very, very few of those leading their campaigns really talked about the nature of the world we live in today, where there is so much economic interdependence and that rules cannot often be taken or adopted at national level. You need to have this level of regional international cooperation. And that if you're in a relationship with the EU, if you look at any non-member state's relationship with it, it's pretty asymmetric. It's the EU rules which essentially determine the basis for your trade, particularly in the European context. And it was somewhat naive to assume that if you left the European Union, you can return back to some sort of golden era of national sovereignty and taking all decisions through your own national parliament at the national level.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.